Yeah. Okay, good evening everyone. This lecture will be different than the regular Musar lectures that we've been giving in the last few weeks. I want to speak about health, about the nature of human being, male, female, ages, strong people, weak people, what's recommended, what's not recommended. This is going to be more a lecture about medicine, about ancient medicine. The Rambam, as you all know, he was a very famous doctor. Many of the things that we do today in medicine comes from the Rambam. However, we have to be just a comment to make sure that people understand that this was 850 years ago. And some of the things that the Rambam says not necessarily applies to our generation, just for one simple reason, that the nature of people changed than what they used to be. I'll give you an example. Like 1,000 years ago, people used to fast very, very easy and function as usual, work in a market or learn Torah all day, and they used to fast from early in the morning when they wake up, sunrise, until late at night, in the summer days, 8 o'clock, and they were working physical work, and they didn't get dizzy. They were very strong people. Today, a person that fasts by 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, his head is pounding. We are very, very weak compared to them. So today, for instance, it's not so recommended for someone to fast. If he's learning in yeshiva full day Torah, if he's going to fast, half of his day will not be as good as the regular day. So you come to do one mitzvah, to fast, to make tshuva, at the same time you lose the value of your Torah. And when a person learns Torah, it's not only quantity. The most important thing is not only quantity, it's most important thing is quality of the Torah. You could learn 5 chapters all day. If you learn them very good, with full concentration, because you ate good and you feel good, you're strong, then it's the value of your learning is very high, as opposed to you're very weak, you're dizzy, you cannot concentrate, your brain is not functioning so well, your memory is not working so well. And that's just to show you that the nature of people have changed. Also, the nature of food, fruits, vegetables, fish, things that we eat today is not exactly what it used to be. Like today, everyone is after organic. In the old days, it was naturally organic. There's no shots that they give to the animals, all kinds of things that they do to make the food more fresh, preservatives. So some of the things we have to be careful, but in general, this is the foundation of medicine. The Rambam begins, it appears in Ilchot Deot chapter 1, and he say there are many different kinds of personalities and opinions to every human being. One can be completely far from the other. There are some people who are naturally angry. They have hot temper. They're like fire inside, boiling. And there are people that are very calm down. They cold, they relax. It's very, very rare to get them upset or angry. So it could be two opposite kind of people. And there are people that if finally they one time get angry, it could be once every few years. And there are people who every few minutes they get very angry. So you can see that what takes one person sometimes in 10 years, another person does it in an hour. It depends on the nature of a person. Okay, some people, their heart is more pure than the others. And what we call pure today, we should say good heart. What we say good heart means pure heart. He has basically almost no desires. He's humbled, merciful, not running after everything he sees. He doesn't have greed. And the little that he uses is basically just for the everyday life. If he has it, what he needs to just to survive, he's more than happy. He doesn't have, like we say in Hebrew, ayin rechava, eye that is very, very hungry for everything the eye see. And there are people that are exactly the opposite. Everything they see, they want. And as long as they don't get it, they're always frustrated. They're upset. they suffer. If they couldn't get what they just saw in a store, they walk in the street, they look at this, some suits, jewelry in a window there, and obviously they cannot afford, or they cannot buy it, or the store is closed, whatever the reason is. These kind of people always are dying from inside. They feel like it destroyed them, this desire for everything they see. They're very addicted to material, and that's what Chazal say, Oev kesef lo yisba kesef. Someone who likes materialistic life, no matter how much you're going to supply him with his material desires, he will never be full. And that's what Chazal says, Yesh lo maneh rotze 200. He has 100, he's right after achieving 200. Once he gets 200, right away he goes to 400. He has 400, he's going to go after 800. So it's interesting to find that when a person like this, when a person is basically, he has, let's say, 1 million, his goal is right now 2 million. That means he's missing 1 million. Someone who only has 1,000, how much is after 1,000, right? Because he's always thinking, when will I be able to double what I have? And obviously somebody who's missing 1,000 and someone who is missing 1 million, the one who misses 1 million, even though he has 1 million, he doesn't look at what he has. He's looking for what he needs right now, what he thinks he needs. And that's why he's more miserable, because it's much harder to get 1 million than to get 1,000. There are people that are not only that they're humbled and modest and they don't have hardly any desires, they go to the extreme, to the other side, which is also not good. They starve themselves, they torture themselves, they fast every day, everything that has good taste, they don't want to enjoy from it. They actually looking to suffer, which is also not good. Because if a person doesn't supply with the minimum amount of pleasure to his nefesh, to his soul, to a part of his soul, then one day he can collapse mentally. Because we have to bribe our evil inclination with something to leave us alone, to be able to focus on the mitzvot. That's why Hashem made a world that food has taste. Everything to enjoy from it to the right extent is fine. Once it becomes an addiction, and away from just enjoying it as much as you allowed, until it becomes an addiction, could be very, very thin difference. Almost the same. Just one more step forward and already you're addicted. We see when it comes to suits. A guy buys a suit because he wants to have a nice suit for Shabbat. Very good, mitzvah. Nice to wear nice clothes for Shabbat if you can afford. Then the next thing you find that he needs another one, and the next thing a year later you see his closet is full of 30, 40 suits, which he doesn't really need that much. Why does he buy? Because he enjoys the feeling of buying a new suit, and then he wants to receive the pleasure again, so he'll receive it again. And now he wants more and more, and it becomes an addiction. Same thing, food. Person eats all kinds of candies. If it's once in a while, it's no problem. But once it becomes an addiction, that means he cannot live without it. And once he doesn't have it, it disturbs his attention, his concentration with what he does. That's already an addiction. Drugs, cigarettes, meat. There's all kinds of addiction. If you can close the door. There's all kinds of addictions that basically controlling our life and actually destroying it. Okay, so there are people who are very generous. There are people who are very stingy. One is the opposite of the other. To be too generous is also dangerous. That's already on the border of becoming a fool. Because if a person he made today $1,000 and he walk in the street and throw it, that's you may say, hey, everyone comes and collect, all the poor people coming and collect, very nice. But you also have your own children, you have your own life, you have your wife, you have obligations. To give the others in order for you to destroy yourself, it's also not a clever thing to do. Then the Rambam says, he said the creation of each one of us mentally and physically is different than the other. You cannot take two individuals and think that they are 100% the same. And some of the things we are born with. We come to this world and this is like our genetics. We come with that, there's nothing you can do about it. If you're male or female, tall, short, healthier than the other. This is all in your genes already. There are things that we learn as we grow up. It's depend on our society, our parents, our teachers, our brothers and sisters, friends in the neighborhood. Sometimes they design a lot of our personality because we live with them for a few years and then we become like them. Sometimes to a positive side, sometimes to a negative side. That's the point, who your friends. That's why we ever say, tell me who your friends are and I tell you who you are. Right? If you see a guy that points at 5 gangsters on the street, 5 criminals that walk with weapons and tattoos and dirty language, you don't need him to open his mouth. You're going to know what's going to come out of it. And if you see somebody who he points that 5 friends with Gemara in their hand, and they walk and they polite and they dressed in a certain way, then you know right away this guy is with them, is in a different group. So you can right away tell the difference between him, and obviously your friends affecting your traits and your personality. Then the Rambam said, this is the rule. In general, everything that a person walk in an average way, it's positive. To be too extreme, it's dangerous. For instance, like I say, to starve yourself, not to enjoy any taste, only to eat mud, just stale bread, as we say, it's dangerous for your soul, for your nefesh. And to run after pleasure all the time, it's very dangerous. So to live normal life, to take a little bit from all the pleasures that Hashem put in the world, a little bit, in a decent way, in a way that it's legal, it's not contradicting the Torah, it's no problem. There is only one thing the Rambam says, that a person should run away from it like from fire, to all the way to the extremist side that he can go, which is pride. Pride, there is no average when it comes to pride. You have to stay away from it like you stay away from poison. Everything that involves with pride, and pride, we're not talking only to walk and show off your body or your clothes or your beauty everywhere you go. This is already mental cases, people that live like this. We are talking even someone who thinks inside his heart, I'm much better than my friends. I'm better than my brothers. I'm better than my neighbors. I'm better than my class. I am the best speaker. I am the best performer. I'm the best musician. I'm the best whatever, businessman, everyone in his territory. Just thinking it in his heart, never dare to say it in public, never. Just thinking it in his heart, it's already a serious sin, very serious sin. So the Rambam says when it comes to pride, you have to run away all the way to the other side, stay away from this like you're staying away from fire. Also, one other thing that we have to be very careful with is anger. Anger has few negative sides in it. What's the negativity in anger? It's very simple. First, nobody can stand you. The more angry you are, the more enemies you are. It gets to a point that even your wife and your children, they're so afraid of you, they're not comfortable around you. They always try to stay away or to be in touch with you as less as possible. And then obviously your life is not normal in a house. When you go to work, if you're the boss, all your employees hate you. Of course, they're not going to show it to you because they depend on the job. But inside their hearts, they will do for you only what they have to, never more. Why? They cannot stand you. Also, in sports, whenever you go and play, you're always going to fight. You're going to be a sore loser. You're going to have more enemies. You're going to curse. You're going to argue. You're going to fight for the scores. Things that has no meaning. There's always going to be something with you. So basically, every second of your life will be involved with anger. And the worst part is that it eats you up from inside, brings sicknesses to the person. A person that is angry, it's burning inside, it's basically brings all kinds of sicknesses to him, heart attacks, cholesterol, and all these modern words that we're using today. The Torah describes it in different words, but it's the same concept. When a person is angry, it brings sicknesses to his health. And basically now he loses twice. He loses in his social life and he lose in his physical health, every day's health. Also, there's another problem when a person is angry, that is considered as an idol worshipper, which is another problem. What's the connection between being angry and being an idol worshipper, bowing down to an idol? It comes from the same root. The person that doesn't believe in Hashem, and he has an idol, and this idol, what he's worshipping, that's basically saying, by bowing down to Buddha or to something like that, that's saying, this is my God, and there's no other God. When a person is angry, he's actually indicating that in his heart and his mind, Hashem doesn't exist. Because every test he has in life, he's stuck in traffic, he missed his flight, he missed the train, he missed the bus, his wife didn't cook so well today, he told her to pay the mortgage and she forgot. All this anger and frustration and yelling and screaming comes from one root. He has no emunah in Hashem, nothing. And he doesn't understand that Hashem runs the world. And many times we are putting too much efforts in doing something, but Hashem has His plan, and that's what we say. Rabot machashavot belev ish v'atzat Hashem itakum. There are many plans and thoughts in the mind of a person, but the decision, the advice and decision of Hashem always will overcome all our plans and all our decisions and opinions. Sometimes in our opinion, this is what we have to do and this is what we chose to do. But Hashem has His plans. I'll give you an example. There's one guy in Israel who was working in a factory for 30 years. For 30 years, he was working in a factory. And after 30 years, after 30 years, if they can be a little bit more quiet over there. So after 30 years that they work inside, he works for this factory, they decided to send him on an early pension plan. In Israel, I think that when you get to age 65, you can retire, then you get Social Security, and you get a large amount of money when you retired, and that's it. But sometimes when the factories or the companies, they have a plan to cut expenses, so they force some of their employees to go on an early pension. So they come to this guy, say, you're working here already for 30 years, he's 55 years old, and we want you to retire. He said, but I'm young, I love the work, I was planning to be here another 10 years. They say, no, we have to fire people. We don't want to fire people. So people already work and they're entitled to get compensation money. This is the one we're going to lay off. So you're one of the people here. Please just take the money. We're paying you compensation. We're not firing you. And just go find yourself what to do. He's not agreeing. He runs from one boss to the other, from one committee to a manager, appealing, trying here, trying there. Nothing he does helps him. When it comes to the rabbi told him, don't you know the rule? The rule is very simple and very obvious. You don't have to have any doubts. When you know you did the maximum ishtadlus, you put all your efforts in something and you could not succeed, then you have to agree that this is the wish of Hashem. Don't kill yourself over it. Don't think, oh, I missed something, I failed. No, not necessarily. It's a part of Hashem's plans. That's why He was avoiding your success right now. What you think is success is to convince your boss to keep you in a business. Because you want to work. You don't want to be home. So they gave him enough money. At that time, it was enough to buy 3 apartments in Israel after 30 years of work. So he bought his 3 children, each one of them an apartment. 2 weeks later, after he got fired and he got his check, he got a massive heart attack that he was very close to die. In a miracle, they saved his life in a hospital. Then he was hospitalized for months, slowly, recuperate slowly. And obviously, if he would convince them to keep him in the office and he will get the heart attack, he wouldn't even get 1/3 of the money they had to give him. Because they forced him to go on an early pension, they have to pay him the full amount of money. So Hashem already knew that his heart attack is on the way. He's going to get a heart attack for whatever reasons. Whatever we get, we deserve. Make no mistake. So Hashem knows in 2 weeks from now he's getting a massive heart attack. I don't want to kill him yet, but I want to send him a serious message about his entire life. But at the same time, I want him to have a living. How? I want him to get $300,000 to buy 3 apartments. That his children will be off his head, off his shoulders, you know. He doesn't have to support them anymore. They have their own apartment, they have a job, they can survive. So if he'll get a heart attack now, they're going to tell him, what do you want from us? You quit. We didn't fire you. So you're entitled to get a third. Now we are firing you. We're giving you the full amount. Now when they told him that he cannot stay in the work, he was crying, he's upset. For 2 weeks he was upset. Why? What did after 30 years they're kicking me out like this? In the end, it's the best thing happened to him. 2 weeks later, he wouldn't get nothing. So here is an example, and it happens to us all the time. You wanted to get an apartment, and you didn't get it, and in the end something much better came, for sometimes even cheaper. All kinds of things like this. The person has to have a emunah that everything happens to him, happened for the best, and we know, we spoke about it many times. Then, as I said, being humbled is also very important, but many people make mistake confusing being humbled and being stupid. There's no mitzvah in the Torah to be stupid and let people take advantage on you. Once you recognize that a person is taking advantage on you, it's called menatzel. He's using you for his private wishes and, you know, all kinds of necessities that he have. Drive me here, take me there, do this for me, come do this for me, volunteer for this, volunteer for that. Once in a while, if it's a norma, fine. Once you see a person takes advantage on you, then there's nowhere in the Torah it says that you have to be an idiot and become a slave of somebody free of charge. And sometimes people make mistake. Oh, it's mitzvah to do mitzvah. Yes, mitzvah, you have your own obligations. You have your children, you have your wife, you have other things in your life just to be taken advantage of, right? And sometimes, usually when the people see that this person is comfortable, he never say no, then obviously they keep returning to him, and eventually he's a full-time job worker for somebody, and at that time this guy making money, he can afford to sponsor somebody to work for him, but why should he do it if he has somebody who volunteers and works for him free of charge? And that's why you have to be careful. It's a big mitzvah to do chesed, to do volunteering work, to do that, but you have to know where is the red line. Once you don't know, you can destroy your own life. You have to make sure your wife agree. You have to know, to make sure it doesn't come on the expense of bringing parnasa home. And you know what I'm talking about. So obviously we have to just understand where is the border between being a Baal Chesed to being a fool. Okay, and this is many people, unfortunately, they don't know. Sometimes, I give you an example from yeshiva. People sit in yeshiva, they learn Torah. Everybody knows in the first month that he's in yeshiva that every letter that comes out of your mouth, or every letter you hear from the rabbi, from the teacher, it's counted as an individual mitzvah. So if you heard one pasuk, one verse from the Torah that has 50 letters in it, it's 50 mitzvot. So 50 mitzvot. Now sometimes every yeshiva needs volunteers, people that goes to bring the food, let's say, from the catering or from a family that cook for the yeshiva. They need people that do all the errands for the yeshiva. They have to go pay the bill or do all kinds of things. So sometimes somebody has the job and then one day he leaves the yeshiva or he gets married and they need somebody to replace him. Sometimes you see people who volunteer to do the job. I'll do it from now on. I'm going to go get food. So to go get food, it's a mitzvah. It's chesed. But this is a large, very, very serious stupidity. Why? Why would you give up 1,000 mitzvot in order for you to make one? You just had 1,000 mitzvot in the hour, right? The hour that you were sitting and learning, now you have to sacrifice 1,000 mitzvot because you go out of the yeshiva to go bring the food. And in the end, you made one mitzvah. One mitzvah. You replaced 1,000 for one. Or I give another example. So if the rabbi, the Rosh Yeshiva nominate you for the job and there's no way out, what can you do? Mishalayim. But if they're looking for volunteers, you have to be clever when to volunteer for what. On your free time, on your lunch break, if you're anyway sitting outside and smoking a cigarette, and now somebody offer you to volunteer to do mitzvah, of course it's better to do mitzvah than to stand outside do nothing. But if you're already busy with mitzvah, and they're offering you to replace it with another mitzvah that is much less valuable, then it's stupidity. It's no thinking. Or I'll give you another example. A person leaves his home in the morning, on the way to yeshiva. Today he's going to make thousands of mitzvot, sitting 10 hours a day and learn Torah. And guess what? On his way out, he hears that the neighbor from downstairs, she has to give birth today. So she's looking for somebody to take her to a hospital. Her husband is busy at work, and she doesn't want to spend money on a cab. I don't know what the case is. It happens all the time. And all of a sudden, this tzaddik volunteers to give her a ride to the hospital. Traffic, goes to the hospital until he brings her up. They bring a wheelchair, and then he stays there to see what's going to happen. By the time he comes back, he lost 2 hours of Torah. So he lost about an average minute is 1,000 mitzvot. 200 words a person says in an average minute. Each word has approximately 5 letters in average. So it's right there 1,000 mitzvot a minute by learning Torah. Multiply by an hour, which is 60 minutes, so it's 60,000 mitzvot an hour. To go take her to hospital and come back probably will take 3 hours. So he's giving up 180,000 mitzvot, which are the most valuable mitzvot of the Torah, to do one mitzvah, chesed. So he replaced 180,000 to get one. Why? That comes for not understanding the value of the Torah. If a person understands the value of the Torah, you are busy collecting diamonds in a room and somebody needs a ride, take $100, take a cab. I'll pay for it. Better for me to pay you for a cab to go to the hospital. I'll get the cab. I'll pay it. It's going to be my mitzvah. It counts like I gave you. I nominate the driver to be my messenger. Shaliach. Here, take $50. Take her to the hospital. Make sure she goes in. For me to be able to learn 3 more hours Torah, of course. So there are many things in life that sometimes the Satan is a genius. When he knows we are already determined to do a mitzvah, that no matter what's going to happen, we're on the way to do it. So what does he do? Obviously he cannot tell us, hey, go to sleep. So what does he do? He brings us another mitzvah to play on our emotions, to go into our feelings and confuse us. And what happened in the end? We go for the important mitzvah to the less important mitzvah. And like this we lose. The same thing like in investment. Your money was an investment that brings you 100% profit every year, and you left it and you went to an investment that brings you 1% profit a year. That's very foolish, no? It happens to us every day of our life by making the wrong choices. Now, the Rambam continue. This is his words. Choli aguf, the sickness of the body, the bitter, the sweet, the desires for non-healthy food. Why do we eat food that we know it's not healthy? Potato chips, cholesterol, MSG, all this food that some even say brings cancer. All these chemicals that they put to make a diet supposedly. So much danger in our kitchen, in our diet every day, and we hear about it all the time. It's not a secret now today that half of the things that you get on a shelf, it's poison. Everybody knows. All these diet drinks, even meat today when you buy, they inject all kinds of things to the meat. It's not what it used to be. You know, and there's all kinds of things, but we eat it only for one reason. Why we eat it? For the taste. So when a person comes to decide what I'm going to bring into my stomach, what's the first choice that he makes based on what? Taste. That should be the last thing on the list. Everything by us is the opposite of the truth. First he has to think, this food will keep me strong, is healthy for me, what I need, the vitamins, whatever. For instance, meat has vitamin B12. It makes the memory works better, you're less tired, you can sit and learn more Torah. There's a very famous thing It used to be in the time of the Bach. It's about approximately 400 years ago. The Bach was a very important Rav. You can read his comments on Shulchan Aruch. There's the Bach and the Taz. Who's the Taz? Taz means Turei Zahav. Bach means Bayit Chadash. They call them after their name, after their books. So your name becomes what your book is, right? So now, the Bach got his daughter married to one of the important rabbis of the generation. Who was he? The Taz, the Turei Zahav. He's younger than him, but he's a big rabbi. So he married his daughter to this big Chacham. And when they signed the agreement that they get married, until today the religious people do it. Sometimes the father sponsor at least few years for the Chassan, for his son-in-law, to learn in yeshiva. So he supplies him with rent, food, whatever they need to maintain normal home. So they agreed that he's going to supply him once a day meat to eat. Meat has a lot of advantages. It helps, it makes the person stronger. The meat today, it's full of cholesterol. As I told you, it's not what it used to be. But in the old days, when you ate meat, you know it's 100% health. So anyway, after a few years, the Bach business wasn't so good, and he couldn't afford to pay him every day for meat. Meat is expensive, even today. Supply him every day with a fleischik, a meat meal, it's not so simple. So what did he do? He got him something that called tchol. I think splint. I'm not sure. Splint? Splint. Tchol means splint. This splint, it's not 100% meat. It's not. It doesn't have the same vitamins or nutrition that normal meat that you eat has. So after a few days, the Taz see that his meals changed. He used to get meat, real pieces of meat. Now he gets this tchol. What is this? So he took him to court. The Taz, the son-in-law, takes the biggest rabbi of Europe. He takes him to the Beis Din, suing him. You're not fulfilling your obligation. We made a contract. You have to give me meat. Why are you giving me splint? His father-in-law got married to his daughter. The entire town is rocking. What? You ever heard such a chutzpah? So what if you give him splint? What's the big deal? Let it go. Nobody understands. This is the biggest rabbi. Sometimes the people, the ordinary people, jump to conclusion too fast. They don't really see what's behind it. So everybody is talking. Lashara, lashara. Lashara. That reminds me of another story. We'll get back to this story shortly. We'll get back to it, don't worry. What another story? One guy received a coin, an ancient coin that worth a lot of money. From 2,000 years ago, they found a gold coin, something, the archaeologist, he purchased it. His father, he inherited that. This coin was enough to marry all his children with houses and everything, not to worry about their future. He was making a living, living simple life, and he hid that coin under their clothes in a closet. And one time he decided to take his wife on vacation. So they want to go on vacation for 3 days, and they put a babysitter there from the neighborhood. And 3 days later he comes back home. The first thing he goes to check if the coin is still there. Guess what? The coin is not there. Goes crazy. He comes to his oldest son. Well, where is the coin? He said, the kids were crying. They wanted gums, candies. So I didn't have money. I knew that there's a coin there. We took the coin to the grocery and we bought lollipops. Lollipops in this coin worth millions. Well, he runs right away. That's a real story that happened in Yerushalayim. He runs to the grocery store. He comes to the guy. Where is the coin my son gave you 2 days ago? So what coin? Your son came to me, gave me a coin of 10 shekel. He was short half a shekel. I gave him a discount. I gave them lollipops. I said, half a shekel, it's on me. Go. He said, don't lie to me. Tell the truth. So that's what happened. You have witnesses? No. They came here when nobody was here. You liar. He begins to scream. People from the neighborhood coming in Yerushalayim. What's going on here? You a thief. You took advantage on the kids. He gave you a gold coin. The guy said, I don't know what you're talking about. You're blaming me. Why don't you check first before you're blaming? No, don't tell me stories. The kids say they took the coin and they came to your store to buy candy. In the meantime, the people in the neighborhood already had their own verdict. Nobody goes into this grocery anymore. We don't want to deal with this crook. Slowly, after a few months, he went bankrupt. He had to leave town. That's it. 15 years later, the owner of the coin that lost it in the meantime, gets somebody knocks on his door. Shalom. I have a mitzvah of Hashavat Haveda. I came to return a lost object to the owner. He takes out a gold coin and says, this is yours. He looks at the coin, he almost died. Who are you? How did this coin arrive to you? Say 15 years ago I was walking on the street and I saw a bunch of kids walking, holding it in their hand. And I looked, I saw the kid is holding the big coin. I looked at the coin, I said, can I see? I looked at the coin, I understand that this coin worth fortune. I asked the kid where you got it from. He's a religious guy now. Where you got the coin? He said, belongs to my father. And he said, what are you doing with that? I'm going to buy candies with that. So I knew that probably the father doesn't know the real value of this coin. He maybe think it's nothing. This coin is more than 2,000 years old. So I told the kid, how many candies you want? They told me how many candies. I gave them 10 shekel, and I took the coin from him. In the meantime, I went to my bank. I showed them how much the coin worth. I got a huge mortgage, a loan from the bank. I went into business. I just needed a lot of money. I went into business. I made a lot of money, fortune. I married my children. I bought each one of them a house. I have businesses. I'm all set. I just finished paying my mortgage, 15 years now. I finished now. I made my last payment. The bank gave me back the coin. That was the collateral. They gave me back the coin. I have nothing to do with that now. Now I'm coming to return it to you and to tell you the value of the coins. So the guy says to him, what? I knew the value of the coins. Why did you assume that the value of the coin, I didn't know what it is? He said, I'm sorry. If you knew the value of the coin, your little 5, 6 years old son wouldn't walk with this in Yerushalayim with a $2 million coin to buy gums. It's your problem. It's considered a lost object already. But I'm doing you a favor, I'm returning it. I don't need it anymore. That's the story that really happened. Now let's see. The guy that owned the grocery that went bankrupt, hundreds or maybe thousands of people spoke lashon hara about him. He already has VIP in Olam Haba. First row with Moshe Rabbeinu, with Rambam, set for life. You're innocent and everybody made you criminal, gangster, thief, whatever you want to call it. Couldn't be a better gift. So he's first row. So let's not worry about him. The owner of the coin, he just received the coin now. So it's even worth more now, 15 years later. He didn't lose. Okay, so now he's going to buy them houses, he's going to pay all his loans. It's fine. The one who made millions thanks to that coin, he did what the Torah says, Hashavat Haveda. And in Judaism there's no interest. So he paid back the loan. He gave it back, the lost object. So who is guilty in this story? Who's going to pay the price? The people of Yerushalayim. All the people who spoke lashon hara for years. And the owner of the grocery, each one of them lost his olam haba. They paid the price. The ordinary people that push their nose to big giants' business, they don't understand anything. You heard what this rabbi said? You heard what this rabbi said? The rabbi argued with this rabbi, and this rabbi did this, and this, the Gedol Hador say mutar, and he said asur. What's going on? Politics. How you're allowed to do to make peace? You're not allowed to make peace. To return? To not to return? You know. business of big Dolei Ador, the ordinary people not understanding what's behind the scene. And they already speak. And in the end, we're going to pay the price. They did what's necessary, and we're going to pay the price. Going back to the story, so the Bach and the Taz, he takes him to court, and the court decided that splint is also meat. He didn't say in a contract that he has to give him rib steak. Splint, meat is meat. Even the I don't know, any kind of thing from the animal, it's already considered meat. So, when they came out, they come to the Taz and said, no, you lost the case. Now you ruined your reputation and you lost the case. He said, no, I didn't lose the case. I won the case. Why you won the case? He said, when my father-in-law started to replace my meal from meat to splint, by the last hour of the day, I was already dizzy. My mind wasn't sharp anymore. Days that I ate meat, I was very strong. Concentrate, strong. Mamash, I have energy to learn. My brain was working perfect. The last hour of every day, the quality of my Torah went down 50%. And I knew that that's direct fault of my father-in-law, because the agreement that we made, he has to supply me meat. So I didn't want him to be responsible in Olam Haba for the value of my Torah that he dropped. So I knew that the court here will say that splint is meat. But the rule, this is the way it works. Whatever the Beis Din decides here, the Beis Din of heaven is binded to it. Even if they disagree with the verdict. Once the rabbis, the Beis Din say, you guilty, you innocent, they leave you alone over there. That's it. The court says I'm innocent, or I have to pay such and such. I paid. They made a mistake? Maybe. But you clean. Why? You had din here. Im yesh din lemata and din lemala. You have judgment here. That's why Chazal say to us, before we go to sleep every night, we have to judge ourselves. If you judge yourself and you give yourself penalties, punishments, you know, for instance, you promise that you're never going to get angry. And here you got angry again today. So you make you evaluate your life. And you say, you know what? How do I stop being angry? Okay, I have a deal. Every time I'm going to get angry at someone, I put $5 in a tzedakah box. 5-6 times a day, you're going to put $5, believe me. And next time you're about to scream, one rabbi knew that he has hot temper. Redheads usually have more hot temper than others. It's interesting. So he knew that everything that his workers in his office, in his company, they get him angry. So he right away wants to attack them and scream. So he made a rule that, every time that the people do something wrong, he will only speak to them in his office, which was in the other side of the building. It takes 3 minutes to walk to the office to meet them. So every time somebody did something wrong, by the time he used to get to his office, it was already cooled off. I say, I just wanted to ask you how you're doing. You okay? Why, you already relaxed. Takes a minute or two to relax. The difficulty is the first 10 seconds, when you feel like the blood is going into your brain, you're about to explode, to hold yourself. That's why the Torah says, Tole eretz al blima. HaKadosh Baruch Hu hung the earth on nothing. Blima, it's nothing. But blima has another meaning. Blima means to stop, like brakes, the brakes that stop the car, it's called bolem, blima, stopping the car. Not only the car, stopping everything. You can bolem an army, you can bolem your enemy. Blima means stopping. So the Torah says, Tole eretz al blima. Someone who is in the middle, Chazal says, in the middle of a fight, and he has a lot what to answer to the other person, but he decides to be silent, not to answer back. He has what to say. But you say, I'm sorry, you're right, forgive me, I tried that, it will never happen again. He can crush him in the argument. He can show his real face to the whole world. But he say, you know what? Why should I argue? Hashem knows the truth. Hashem runs the world. If I deserve it, I get it. I don't deserve it, I don't get it. That's it. That's called Tolei Eretz al Blimad. Thanks to him, the entire earth is surviving. That's called Tolei Eretz al Blima, on people who block their mouth in times of a fight. Times of a fight is big thing. All right, so now, like I said, it's good to be Baal Chesed, but there's no mitzvah to be a fool, right? That always people will take advantage on you. I have a friend, he's a caterer. Very good person, Chassid. A heart of Avraham Avinu he has. He used to be in a business, and there are a lot of non-decent people that takes advantage on good people. That's their job. How do we call it today? Bloodsuckers. They recognize the weakness in the heart of a person, and they just don't leave him alone. And these people have no limits. It's always becoming worse and worse. So he was doing very good business, full of customers. Thursday it's packed, Friday it's packed, catering for Shabbat. Yes, it looks like a gold mine, this business. Every month or two he calls me up, you got to help me out, I don't know what's going on, I don't have enough money to pay. Can you come, look at the things, what's going on here? I saw that half of the customers that come into his business just don't pay. They come in, they eat, and in the end they say to him, thank you very much, and this, and they leave. Not only that, some of them come into the restaurant, they go behind the counter, and they serve themselves. That's like they are the owner already. Not only he gets for free, he goes in the back of it and make himself, fill himself boxes, closing it, put in bags. Then I also saw that his sister is working for him. When she goes home every evening, she take a bag, probably $500 worth of salads and drinks and orange juices, and this is money he pays for it. I say, you know why you bankrupt? Because this is what's going on. So what can I do? What can I tell these people? He comes, he takes everything, in the end he leaves. You understand? That's the difference between being Baal Chesed and being a fool. What was the end of this guy? He got a heart attack from all the problems. You know, people run after you, you have to pay money, you don't have enough. He got a heart attack. He owned 3 apartments in Muncie, and he lost all of them. But even people like this, Hashem is watching. When Hashem saw that this person is not making the right choices and about to be on the street, literally about to be on the street, he sent me to him. I worked out a deal for him, I got him out with the deal with the banks, finally he took some money out, he was able to rent a place, and later he bought it, and Baruch Hashem, he's going from one job to another. Now why do I tell you this story? Because the idea of the Torah is to know when is a mitzvah and when people are sucking your blood to protect yourself. And there was, in the Holocaust, the Germans, you know, there was a night that called Leil Abdollah. That's in the night, I think it's called Kristallnacht. That night, they burned almost all the businesses of Jews, synagogues, libraries, everything that they knew belongs to Jews, they went and destroyed. And not only in Germany, they did it in Poland, in Czechoslovakia, all over. It was like a unanimous decision all over that the Nazis knew wherever they are, they give permission to the people to take, to rob, to do whatever they want. All it took is few hours. And the Jewish world crushed to pieces that night. So in Czechoslovakia, they're already walking the Nazis on the street, you know, with their cars. So they gave permission to the Czechoslovakian people tonight, from this time on until the morning, to do whatever they want to Jewish property. And they wanted to see if the Czechoslovakian people cooperate with them, or they are not anti-Jews. They wanted to know for the future how to handle them. If they see that they go after the Jews and do whatever they want, very good. So we have a partner to the crime. And if they don't want to do anything and they don't touch the Jewish property, that means we're going to have problems here. We need more army. That was their test. So that night, the Czechoslovakian people didn't need more than as soon as they made, I think, like firework or sign, there was one sign in a town over there, thousands of goyim, Czechoslovakian, went to Jewish property and broke all the glasses, stole everything. There was one street that used to be a lot of Jewish stores, kosher chocolate, cocoa, chocolate, sugar, candies, these kinds of, it's industry, one street, full of stores like this. One store was owned by Rabbi Zinger, that's his name. Son later went to Israel, he survived. Rabbi Zinger owned that store. The night, this Kristallnacht, all the Jews were hiding in their bed, in the basement, under the ground. They didn't know what's going to be next. The next thing, they burn your house. You don't know what to do. In the morning, he went to the business to see the damage. He's thinking to himself, oh, maybe only they just broke the glass. Maybe they burned the store. We don't know what's happened. Let's see what's the damage, if something left. He comes to the street. First store is all burned, all ashes. Second, third, all these blocks, left, right. He gets to the end of the block. That's his store, completely brand new. Nobody touched it. No glass broken, no burn. It's all locked. All the merchandise are inside. You cannot believe. So is it a dream? Am I dreaming or what? All the stores in the block, all destroyed 100%. His business, nobody touched. He opened the store in the morning. That's the only place that you can get some candies, chocolate, sugar, coffee. All the people that needed everyday things, there's only one store left. They came to his store. So his workers told him, Rabbi, now it's your opportunity. You can double the prices. No competition today. What happened today? You're the only one left in the industry. Right away, it's monopoly. You take advantage on the industry. No, I have no competition. So he says, no, I can do it, and people will pay even 10 times more. I cannot enjoy money from other Jewish people misery. I can't enjoy this kind of money. The price is the same price like always. And people came, in 1 hour almost everything from the store got sold out. An hour later, an SS officer comes in. Nazi guy, screams this, he comes to his ear. He whispered to him in his ear, I want you to know that I was here all night. I didn't go to sleep tonight. I was here all night watching your store. You remember me? Looks at him. Who was this German soldier, officer, Czechoslovakian, whatever he was? He used to work as a delivery truck deliveries. He's a driver of a truck. He's in charge of the merchandise from a company. He delivers chocolates or to the store. Every time that guy came to do delivery to his store, this rabbi used to go out and help him with the boxes. They brought the boxes in, and then he gave him something cold to drink. It was very nice to him. Then later he became a soldier, got a job as a soldier, he got good paid. And when this started, first thing, he was in his home. When they knew now you go on the street to see what's happening, the officers also stole everything. Everybody stole, together. He stood by the store, and everybody who came to touch the store of Rabbi Zinger, he said, no, there's a problem in the store, be careful, don't touch it. All night, he was watching his store. Now his son, later told the story that they are the only store in the entire Europe that nobody touched that night. So guess what happened? He said, my father, he was very humbled. For years he always thought that the guy was grateful to him. He was good to the guy all these years. The guy felt that he has an obligation to return something to him, so he came to pay him back. But his son said that's really not the case. What was the case? That my father was so honest in the business all these years that he was there. He was so careful with the weight. He always gave the customer 5% extra, just God forbid not to cheat them on a scale. Remember, it was primitive. Scales. He was so careful with the freshness of the product. If something wasn't fresh, he never sold it to people. He never lied to them. They say it's from today, if it was from yesterday. He was such an honest person, he says, that I was thinking to myself that night as a kid, I wonder if they're going to be able to touch my father's business when my father is the most honest person in the world, never stole a penny from a person. So what do we learn from this story? When a person is 100% clean, he doesn't owe money to anyone, he never cheated, he never took advantage on other people, he doesn't use things without permission, he doesn't do shortcuts when someone back property without permission, he doesn't use the phone without permission, he doesn't take napkins from a pizza store just because his hand is wet or dirty, and many other examples of some of us do, even religious people. It's impossible that somebody will be able to damage your property. I cannot do a lecture here, it's a big problem. The door is open? How can it be? That's how hard you hear it? So, the next thing, the Rambam continue, לעולם ירבה אדם בשתיקה. That's another great recommendation. The more you talk, the worse your life become. Talk only when you must talk. Talk only to the point. When you teach, do it in a short way. When you give instruction, try to do it as short as possible. This is all recommendation from the Torah. Rabbi Shimon says in Pirkei Avot, לעולם לא, כל ימי גדלתי עם החכמים. All my life I grew up with the biggest rabbis in the world in my house. And I found the most important midah of them, that they never talk unless if they really had to talk. There's a story from 10 years ago. Rav Ben Zion Abba Shaul, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, he was sitting in the yeshiva and two or three guys were arguing about something in a Gemara for 3 hours. He tried to prove. In a way, they're wasting time. They're not moving forward. Because they try to clarify one line in a Gemara. For 3 hours, left, right, yes, no, he brings another guy. Balagan. Then they see they cannot agree one with each other. So they come to him, Rabbi, who's right? Me or him? I say, this is the pshat in the Gemara, and he said this. So the Rav said, this is the right one. So then he asked him, Rabbi, for 3 hours we are right next to you. You're sitting a step away from us. You see all the balagan here, screaming, this, arguing, fire. Couldn't you tell us? You're wrong, you're right, move on. He said, I don't push my nose into other people's business. He asked me, you didn't ask me. What? You know how it is. You ask direction, 15 people jump. No, I'll tell you how to go. Nobody asked you. They asked this guy. Give him a chance. Doesn't work, they ask you. This is the rule. The Chachamim say that every person has X amount of words that is allowed to talk in his lifetime. That's besides Torah. Torah, it's unlimited, as much as you want. Once you finished what Hashem said for you, you got to leave this world. So the more you talk, the shorter your life is going to be. That's Chachamim. It's not a false belief. Therefore, talk only when you have to talk. Plus, the more you talk, the more lashara you're going to tell. You know, one thing leads to another. The more you talk, the more jokes it's going to be. Clowns, people laughing, this. The more you talk, the less patience you're going to have to learn Torah, because a person gets tired if he talks all the time. Some people hours on the phone. You ask your wife, hey, read Tehillim. You know what the day I had? Give me half an hour. I need to relax. I want to make a coffee. Give me half an hour to relax. A minute later, she get a phone call from one of her friends, wants to talk about the new dress that came out. Did you hear about that dress from this designer? 3 hours. They talk. Wow, it's come from here. No, you're wrong. It's from Italy, this, that. All of a sudden, she gives a speech about it. You ask her to read 5 minutes Tehillim. No, I'm tired. I have a crazy day. To speak lashon hara about somebody that she doesn't love so much with her friend until the morning. Straight. She would finish 5 sifrei Tehillim. Why? Because the Yetzer Hara gives you koach. The Yetzer Hara gives you koach. You take a guy, a young guy. Tell him, I want you to come Shavuos night to learn all night Torah. You come 11 o'clock at night, after the Suda of the Yom Tov, and you learn until 6 in the morning, 5 in the morning, until the Shachrit. Many of them will say, no, to learn all night Torah, after 5 minutes I'll fall asleep. I'm not the type of guy that can stay up at night. Tell him there's a party in some club in Manhattan, 3 days in a row he's going to be there. Tell him we're going to Atlantic City to the casino, he will sit around the blackjack table for 5 days. He doesn't move. What happened? To learn Torah, as soon as he sits on the chair, fall asleep. To make sins, he's also tired, his body. But the Satan gives him energy. The Satan gives him energy. Go and see. People who goes to places, all of a sudden they're tired, they come from work, they work very hard, but they go to a party, and an hour later they're like lions. Dancing, running, talking, drinking, walking. You tell them 5 minutes, sit and learn Torah, just listen. Begins to snore. The Yetzer Hara is a great factor here. Siyag lachokhma shtika. Chazal say, you want to prove that you're smart, it's better not to talk. Also, we all know that sometimes when we talk, people see that we're not so smart. For instance, you don't know anything about cars. You can argue with me about cars. Do I know anything about the cars? One time I had a guest in my house. A businessman. We see it Shabbat, we talk Divrei Torah, 20% he understands, 80% he doesn't understand. All of a sudden somebody mentioned Ferrari. Ferrari. I never forget this. Sitting in the deck in my backyard, he started to give us all the models of Ferrari, the size of the tire, the engine in the back. The engine was made from platinum, from this. It's all handmade, made in Italy. The interior design made by that person. Half an hour lecture about each Ferrari. He knows everything. I ask him, where did you get all this? So I have all the catalogs. I'm a member. This is what he does. He learns by heart the size of the engine of this car, this Mercedes, this BMW. If he only put his energy in Torah, at least he gets something in return. What does he get here? Some people sport. You name every player in the history of the baseball of the United States, half an hour lecture about him. He's going to give you. You tell him one line in a Gemara, no, Rabbi, I cannot remember. My memory doesn't work. That's the same, So, siyag lachokhma shtika. Don't jump to answer. And the most important thing, don't push your nose to other people's business. Then the Torah war, the Rambam, this is all, by the way, it all falls in a category of health, even though it's not directly health, but it's affecting our health, this kind of behaving. I'll give you another example. The Rambam say, Asur la'adam la'anig atzmo b'divrei chalakot ve'pitui. A person should not be sleazy, a snake, put all kinds of trap to people, temptation, mislead them in his speaking. For instance, you walk in the street, you came out of your home, and your friend was just walking towards your house. And your friend comes and says, oh, you didn't have to come all the way to accept me. And you didn't go for him. You go to the bus stop. But he came, it seems like you came to say hello to him. You came out of your home, you made a few steps outside. So what do you say? No, why not? I should come for you. I love you. I like you. Very good person. You wanted for me to walk out of my house to welcome you on the street, even though you are going somewhere else. But accidentally it happens. What's the problem? He's going to feel good, and you continue to do what you needed to do. No, but it's a lie. It's ona'ah. The Gemara brings exactly the same example. That one rabbi with his student went, and another rabbi was coming towards them and said, oh, you didn't have to bother coming all the way for here to welcome me. He said, no, we're going there. We didn't come for you. So they asked, why couldn't he tell him why not? Let him feel good. Everything that is not honest 100%, Hashem doesn't like. Plus, you go into a store. The guy comes and say, can I help you? Yeah. How much is this suit? 300. How much is that? 250. If I'll buy both of them, you give me 20% off? You begin to talk him into a sale. The guy is already thinking, wow, how much commission I'm going to make? 20% off. He's already happy. Finally, a customer comes in. An hour, he tries this on, he tries this on. He comes, he takes the shoes off. Again, bring this suit. He takes it on. He folds it back in. In the end, he says, okay, I will come back with my husband. I'll come tomorrow with my wife. I want my wife to see it. He never had any intention to buy. Just wanted to see how he looked with the Armani suit. For him, it's a dream. He cannot afford it. So you know what? For 1 minute, I'm going to see how I look with that. In the meantime, the guy is misleading the guy. The rule is, don't do to others what you don't want people to do to you. If you love your others like you love yourself, and by the way, this is not only applied to Jews. Even Jew to a Goy, you're not allowed to do it. Here it's even worse, because then it becomes Chilul Hashem. If he knows you're a Jew, see you, and you're doing this, and you're wasting his time, and in the end you go and you're not buying, so you have to be very careful. Then, a person should be careful not to be lazy. Laziness, it's also a source of many other problems and sicknesses. When a person is lazy, he doesn't want to do anything, his life cannot be successful. Never to fight with people, never to curse, never to argue, never to raise his hand. If he raised his hand on his friend, even he did not touch him, just went like this, go, before I punch you, is already considered 100% wicked. The Torah says, "Velarasha amar Hashem, lama takeh re'echa." Why? He say, Hashem called him Rasha. Hashem say, hey, wicked guy, why you are going to beat up your friend? He didn't touch him yet. Hashem already called him Rasha. Hashem is very precise in his words. Velarasha amar Hashem, lama takeh re'echa. That means as soon as you want to beat up another guy, Hashem already take you from being righteous and puts you in a wicked section. Just for the thought. Needless to say if you really hit him or anything like that. Then, Shema Yomar Adam, now we're coming to the bottom line. הואיל והקנאה והתאווה והכבוד מוצאים את האדם מן העולם, Chazal says, jealousy, desires, and honor, pride, honor, destroying the life of a person. Jealousy, you don't have one moment of happiness. You're always going to have somebody that has a little bit more than you. You just bought yourself a Subaru, your friend has a Toyota, it's a little bit more expensive, you don't like a Subaru. Why? He has something a little better. If tomorrow you got Toyota, you got Mercedes. You're always going to suffer, because no matter when you think you achieve something, there's always going to be somebody that has a little more. You know, so this is the mind of a stingy person. Hey, Moshe, why don't you learn from your brother? We still live in this apartment. Look at your brother. He takes risks in life. He took loans, he bought a house. Look where they live, where we live. All his life he's suffering, struggling, not enjoying what he has. Because his mind is what the other people have. So Rambam says, since it's very bad traits, desires, jealousy, and pride, honor, since it's so bad, a person may think, I'm going to run away from these bad traits all the way to the other side, to be very extreme. I will not touch meat, I will not drink wine, I will not get married, I will not get myself a nice apartment, I'll never dare to wear a nice suit, I'm going to wear a sack with a worse wool, dirty, worse wool, not clean, not nice. I'm going to live a life of a beggar and only eat a stale piece of bread just to survive, not to die, and not look at anything beautiful, never enjoy anything in life, and this is for sure I'm going to be righteous. The answer is no. You are called a sinner. if you live this kind of life. See, this is something Christianity brought to the world. They thought, for whatever reason, that in case you want to be righteous, you have to suffer. So the priest, you cannot get married. And some of them did all kinds of tortures, thinking they're purifying themselves. That Hashem said, no, the opposite. You can enjoy, you can live normal life, and you can be 100% righteous. You don't have to make yourself suffer by fasting, by destroying yourself, by destroying your health in order for you to be righteous. Not true, wrong. And this is the words of the Rambam. This is the ways of the idol worshippers. And the Torah says that a Nazir, a monk, that he decides he's not going to cut his hair and will not drink wine, will not eat raisin, the Nazir, that's a Nazir, that's called a monk. Somebody who make a vow, a neder, that from now on he's going to be a Nazir. When he finished the time, he has to bring a sacrifice and ask Hashem to forgive him for choosing this thing. Why? See, a clear proof from the Torah that when you decide not to cut your hair, to look horrible, not to go get married, not to drink any good wine, not to do this, to live a life, to isolate yourself in a miserable life for X amount of time, instead of getting reward for it, in the end you have to bring a sacrifice which costs you hundreds of dollars in a day to go to Bet HaMikdash, to give it to the Kohen, to slaughter it, to do vidui, chatati, aviti, pachati. Why? It's not what Hashem is interested in. No. Physical torture, it's out of our goals. Then a person should know that everything he does in his life, he has to ask himself before, is this the interest of Hashem or not? Will Hashem be happy from this or not? For instance, many times we do things that looks like a mitzvah, but we're really doing it for ourselves, not for Hashem. Sometimes you see a lady, what we call in Hebrew balabustit. She's on a phone, she has 2 phones, she carry 1 baby, she does this, people, house, guests, this. She makes Sheva brachos to everyone who just got married. She calls, she moves the entire community. So looks, wow, what an organizer she is. She's full of mitzvot, this woman. She only does it for one reason: fame, glory, pride. What people will say about my food, what people will say about my mitzvot, that I open my house, I bring people, I put a show, 15 different kinds of salad. If that was go through her mind, what the people will say about me, she hardly has any mitzvah. She does it because it's mitzvah to make Sheva brachot to newlyweds, and she does it only for the mitzvah. If people will praise her or not, that's besides the point. But she doesn't do it for that. She does it only for the mitzvah. Then it's a pure mitzvah. Most of us, when we do something, we think about our belly, not about Hashem. How delicious the mitzvah is going to be for me. What am I going to benefit from it? There used to be a very, very big rabbi. His name was the Sdeh Chemed. Rabbi Chizkiyahu Medini, that was his name. His books in every yeshiva, it's very important chacham. When he was in yeshiva, it was nothing special, an ordinary bachur. And in the old days, in some countries in the Middle East, the cleaning ladies were the Arabs. They look for a job, they come to the yeshiva, Rabbi, can I work here, can I clean, can I make a living? Fine, make a living. One time there was another guy in yeshiva that was very jealous with the Sdeh Chemed. For whatever reason, didn't like him. And he decided to make up a story about him. He came to the cleaning lady, young Arab lady, say, I'm going to give you whatever, $100, whatever it was, a gift, in one condition. I want you to go tomorrow morning to the rabbi and say that this Chizkiah, this guy, try to start with you, talks to you, offer you all kinds of things, to go with him, to make sins together. And for this, you're going to get this kind of money. All you have to do, make up one lie. He bribed her. She agreed. She saw a lot of money. She took the money. The next day she comes to the rabbi. This is what this guy does. What kind of guys you have here? She makes a show. He doesn't know where he come from. He sits and learns Torah. All of a sudden they're blaming him for trying to do something with this Goya. In the meantime, you know how people are. What? This? Wow, we'll sit and learn with him for years here. Well, how can it be? In a week or so, nobody wants to be with him. People, excuses. I'm busy today. I can't learn with you today. Tomorrow, next week. I already have a chavruta. The rabbi knew 100% that he's not guilty. He knew. But the rabbi saw also that the situation in yeshiva is not healthy. It's already a problem, It's going to become worse. So the rabbi called him up and said, listen, take my advice. Go for 3 months out of town. I'll send you somewhere. Go sit and learn Torah over there. Give it a few months. People will forget about it. I will find the right time to call you back. Give it some time. He said, okay, Rabbi, if you think that's what I have to do, I'll do. He went. For a few months, he went out of town. Then, after a few days, the Arab woman started to have guilty feelings, conscious problem. How would I have done such a thing? She probably told somebody that she did such a thing. And, some Arabs have fear from God. And she started to have a conscious problem. Innocent person, because of her, he had to go. So, one time she asked, where did this guy, where did he go? They told her he went to that town. So she went to that town, she came, she found him. She came, she knocked on his door. I came to apologize to you, I did a horrible thing, I know. And I'm willing to confess in front of the rabbi and the entire yeshiva that it was all lie. And I'm going to tell them what I did it, that this guy did it, and he paid me the money. And I just want one favor from you. I want you to tell the rabbi not to fire me. If you promise me that I won't lose my job, right away tomorrow morning I'm going to do it for you. This is a dream of every man. If you were isolated by a crook, by your enemy that made up a story, what is your dream? To take revenge. I'm going to show everyone that I was always right. They're going to come on their knees to apologize to me. That's what he thinks in his mind. So he said, okay, very good. You come, you tell the rabbi, you clean me out. I'm going to talk to the rabbi to give you the job. As they begin to get dressed, he told her, wait a minute, wait. Don't worry. I'm gonna talk to the rabbi not to fire you. Don't you worry about it. But in one condition, that you don't talk anything. Don't you worry about it. Go back to the yeshiva. If you ever have problems, I'll talk to him. You don't have to say anything for me. Don't you worry about it. I'm gonna stay here and that's it. So she told him, why? I'm willing to clean your name. Try to correct what I've done. So he said, no. So he wrote in his book that from that moment, Hashem opened up his brain and he became a genius. Until these days in his life, he was in his 20s, it was nothing special. Nobody would ever dream that he's going to be a book writer and a great rabbi. Everything he learned, it was very difficult for him to understand like ordinary people. But from this moment on, he set. Every hour was like 10 hours before. He has great success. Hashem opened up his soul to understand so much. And he said, that day I became Rav Chizkiah Medini, the Sdei Chemed. Until that day I was nothing. So they asked him, but why did you refuse to clean your name? It's not a sin. He said, first moment, I thought, wow, how grateful Hashem is for me. He finally listened to my prayers to clean my name. Everybody looks at me as Noef. But then I started to think, is it what I want for me? Or is this what I want for Hashem? Is Hashem really interested that this Arab lady is going to stand in the yeshiva and point at that Jew, he bribed me? And now it's going to be again Chilul Hashem in the entire town. Until now they spoke against me. They forgot about me. Months went by. That's it. The Chilul Hashem is over. Now it's going to all start all over again. The same way they were against me now, everyone will be against him. So just to clean my name and make my life a little bit more comfortable, what about the glory of Hashem? What about the reputation of the Torah, of sitting and learning Torah and do such a crime? It's better I die like this and they suspect me then I'm going to make another day of Chilul Hashem. This is it. So Hashem say, you know what? You care about my name, my reputation. I saw it. From this moment on, your life can change in a second. 1 minute test, and your life will never be the same. For good or for bad, chas v'chalila. When a person is not thinking before he does something, he thinks he's doing a mitzvah, in the end, sometimes we achieve worse, not good. And then the Rambam continue and says like this. When a person speaks, he always has to speak to every person equal, not from high. You're a boss, it doesn't matter. Speak to everyone respectfully, Jew, non-Jew. Say hello to everyone first. Don't ever sit and wait until people will come to say hello to you first. You be the one who want to tell them hello. Whether you're a rabbi and they're just a beginner, whether you're rich and they're poor, it doesn't really matter. You give respect to everyone, and Hashem will take care of your respect, the respect that you deserve. And then, when a person eats, the last thing he should think about is the pleasure. It's not a sin to enjoy. But if his mind is, I'm going to eat now this because I want salty, I want sweet, dessert, this, I'm in a mood for this, I'm in a mood for that, that's already an addiction. It's like an animal. It's desires. So, that's not the right way. The right way is I need to eat in order for me to be healthy. Rav Ben Zion Abba Shaul, he didn't want to waste time. What was he eating every day? 1 slice of bread. He was dipping it in a black coffee, which was already cold for a few hours there from the morning. Dipping it, because the bread wasn't so fresh. It's from a few days. He has a bag of bread, slices. Dip it in a coffee to make it a little bit softer. He eats it, and once in a while, he also brought a tomato. Tomato, it's already a special treat today, tomato. That's what he was eating. Didn't want to waste time now to go, dining room, to cook, to make, to serve, to wash. It's a waste of time for Torah. 2 minutes, whoop, 1, 2, 3, finished. Shabbat is a different story. Then, one of the biggest tragedies in our life, sexual relationship. The whole world is corrupted and destroyed because of this horrible desire that people have like animals. It's controlling the world, it's controlling society, it's destroying society. So many rape cases, so many assaults, so many harassments, so many cases all over the world by the second. No modesty, people are not faithful in their marriage, marriages are broken by the millions, children's lives are destroyed, and there are billions and trillions of sex crimes every minute all over the world, which destroying us in any aspect you can think of. And the Rambam says, a smart person should run away from it, and does it only for the mitzvah. If his mind is for the mitzvah, then if he enjoy from it, it's not a sin. Like I said, if your mind is for the right purpose, everything that comes to you as a benefit because of this mitzvah, it's extra. It's not a sin. It doesn't take away from your reward. But if you're after the pleasure and the mitzvah is secondary, then for sure you don't have blessing in things that you do. The Rambam brings a list of sicknesses that he creates to the person. It makes his teeth weak. He makes bad smell in his underarm. He makes his eyelashes falling. He become weaker person. He become old much faster than what he should have been. It creates all kinds of other sicknesses to him. It hurts his parnasa and many other things in his life. There's a whole list. Rambam said the list of problems that comes to the person for running after this desire. And Chazal already says something very interesting. They said there's one little organ in the body of a man. Someone who tries to fulfill the desire of that organ always will be hungry. And someone who starves that organ always will be full. The opposite of what people think. And how does it start? With the sins of the eyes. All start from the eyes. A person who watches his eyes most likely will never make any sex crimes. Why? His eyes are blocked. He looks at only what he allowed to look, which is his wife, or if he's not married, he doesn't look at anything. And in that case, he doesn't have desire. The desire only starts after you input into your brain what you just see. After you see, the entire system begins to work. Then the Rambam continue. A person has to make sure to keep himself healthy. Not to wear out the body that he will become sick. Because when a person is sick, he cannot learn Torah and he cannot do Mitzvot. And he defeats the purpose of his creation. And that's what I said. If a person is starving himself and fasting and killing himself, he gets to a point that he's collapsing. Once you collapse, what's the purpose of your life? Now here is some advices about the stomach. Person should make sure never to have his stomach stuffed up completely. Whenever you eat, only 2/3 of what you want to eat. If you wanted to eat 2 pounds of food, eat 1.5, 1.3, whatever. Why? If you stuff the stomach, a stomach is a muscle. It shrinks, expands, and shrinks like a muscle, like a heartbeat, on and off. If there's tons of food stuffing it, the stomach cannot do it. And it's very bad for health. So, plus it makes you tired, because all the blood goes into the stomach, and it needs to digest the food, and then you're very dizzy. Look at Shabbos. Shabbos morning, it's the heaviest meal. Friday night and Shabbat morning is the 2 heaviest meal of the week. That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. Some people, every meal for them is a Shabbos meal. 15 times a day, multiply by 7, 75 meals like Shabbat. A normal person, the way of the Torah, that the meals during the week should be very light meals. And Shabbat, you're allowed to eat a little bit more extra, you're allowed to enjoy the pleasure of the food, but never to stuff yourself, because it's not healthy. Now, here is another problem. A person should never hold his bathroom. If he needs to go to the bathroom, he should not say, oh, I'm busy right now, I'll go in half an hour. Whether he has to stand, whether he has to sit, he has to rush to the bathroom right away. It's not healthy. It can also create, chas v'shalom, that a person will become barren. And it's affect his ability to have kids later on. Then, a person should not mix the food and the water at the same time. Eating and drinking at the same time confuse the stomach. Food and water are mixed up in the time of digestion, and it's not good. So he should drink before and eat, and then when he's done, he let the food digest a little bit, then he can drink a little more. It's interesting. Not only that, it has to be also according to the temperature in that season. When it's very cold outside, so he drinks a little warmer drinks. When it's very hot outside, he has to drink a little bit cooler. To drink very cold in one shot is very dangerous for the liver. And also, a person that feels that he needs to go to the bathroom and they serve him food, and he thinks, okay, I'm going to eat 10 minutes and then I go to the bathroom, is very bad. He has to first clean his stomach from the dirt that has to go out, and then to sit to eat no food. Then, after a person ate, he doesn't get up right away and go to physical work. He has to relax a little bit. Before he eats, he has to open his belt, not to press on his stomach, because it affects the ability of the stomach to work in full capacity. Then, when a person eats, he has to bend a little bit to the left. Not to eat while he's walking, needless to say running, or when he's riding a horse or a donkey. Not to shake his body while he's eating. Not to get up and walk to a long walk right after, like some people think, let's walk, let the food go down. No. You have to sit and relax, let the stomach digest the food, wait about 10-20 minutes, and then you can walk on your way. Then a person should not be busy with anything else while he's eating. Phone calls, bills, calculating, and eating at the same time, it's not good. Of course, not to be angry in a time of food. It's affecting the entire system. If a person is under depression and tension and pressure, it's also bad while he's eating in this kind of situation. It's also not good. Then, The most important thing in the beginning of the day to eat bread. It saves us from more than 80 sicknesses, different kinds of sicknesses. So first thing in the morning, if a person prays shachrit, he finished to pray right after that, at least to eat one slice of bread, rye bread, or pita bread, or whole wheat bread, whatever he wants. If he doesn't have, at least cake or ason, something that is similar to bread. It's called pat shachrit. He doesn't do it, it's not so good. He has to start the day with pat shachrit. Yes?
Rashi says, if you don't have wine, eat the bread with water in the morning, and they will prevent 83 sicknesses. That's if you don't have wine. That's what Rashi says.
Well, in the old days, they used to drink wine all the time. It was hard to get clean water. It's not like today, you press a button and you have beautiful, clean water comes out of the sink, out of the faucet. Bread, the water was like the water in India today. If you've ever been in India, it's very difficult to find clean and tasty water. That's why everybody drinks mineral water there, from bottles. And some of the waters with a lot of germs and all kinds of sicknesses. They have to boil the water. It was very difficult. People used to dig in the ground and get water from the ground. That's the way it was. It wasn't hose, pipes from all over, goes into your apartment. Life was different. People used to go from the lake, bring water and try to clean it. Therefore, it was much safer to drink wine. They used to make grape juice wine. They used to also drink watermelon juices, orange juices that they know for sure they clean. And that was helping digestion. One of the things, wine is very good to digest, to help digest food. So if you didn't have, I guess the other option is to make the bread a little bit softer while they're eating it. Sometimes we put it inside the soup and that's it. Now, the next thing before we finished, when a person wake up in the morning, not to jump right away, even if he missed his train or bus or the most important meeting of his life, why should you affect your health? To jump like this, in 1 second the blood circulates in the body before you even just woke up. Remember, it's a pump, the heart. It sends blood, and all of a sudden you make such a sharp move, it can be even a life risk. That's how bad it can be. So you have to get up slowly from the bed. You sit and you wait a few seconds. Then you take your legs off the bed, you sit another few seconds. Then you get up slowly and you begin to walk towards the netilat yadayim, or if you have it next to your bed, but slowly, not running right away. Wow, it's already 8 o'clock. What did I do? The alarm didn't go. Whatever. It's not an excuse. You gotta be very careful. Then, and how many hours we really need to sleep? A weak person that is normally is weak in his entire life, he needs 8 hours of sleep at night. The sleep is not only to make the body fresh the next day, to be able to function. It's also how long it takes to the brain to digest and record into the memory, into the conscious, into the subconscious, all the things you heard and learned today. Everything you saw, everything you heard, everything you learned. Now it's like the computer, you press save. It takes time until the computer saves the entire work or the download. So the brain has to record everything and keep it safely, that one day you'll be able to use this information. If you don't sleep enough at night, the information is saved not perfectly. And later you wonder why you don't remember anything, why all kinds of things that you should have done, now you don't even remember. A week later you don't remember. Why? Because the brain never saved it good. So minimum to sleep 6 hours at night. 6 hours minimum. That's somebody that is normally strong. Someone who is average, 7 hours a night. And someone that is weak, he needs 8 hours a night. You know what you are. Based on that, this is what you have to do. If a person is in a very, very high level of Torah learning, that he achieved very, very high level, we don't have that many people like this in our generation, but they cannot live a minute without Torah. People like this, they are above nature. The Hashem has special protection for them. Even if they don't sleep an hour at night, Hashem will help them out in a miracle way, not in a normal way. But if you're not in this level, don't kid yourself. Your system will not work properly.
What if a person sleeps more than 8 hours?
Not good. The more than 8 hours sleeping, it's actually making us more tired. Check. If you slept 12 hours, it's like sleeping 4 hours, the same feeling. If you slept 10 hours, it's like sleeping instead of 8, 6. The more you're sleeping over time, the more tired you're becoming right now. It's damaging the body. The next day you're dizzy, you're heavy, you're slow, the eyes is burning. It's interesting. You need to sleep 6 to 8 hours. Well, if you went to sleep at 12, you should get up at 6, 7 or 8, depending who you are. If you went to sleep at 2, then you wake up at 8. You have to live normal life. You have to live normal life. In general, every person that can sleep in a normal hour, 10, 11 at night, and wake up early to start his day, this is the most blessed life. Not good to be a night butterfly, like we say, parpar laila. 2 o'clock, he's still walking around with his headphones. What's the point? You go to sleep at 3, you wake up at night. You've missed Kriyat Shema, you go to daven, it's Chilul Hashem, people see you coming out of the synagogue at 10:30 in the morning. People who are doctors, or sometimes they give lectures and they stay with the people until 2, 3 o'clock at night. By the time they get home, it's already morning almost. So this is people that they are out of the ordinary. But anybody has normal life. He walks in a store, he comes home 7 o'clock, he learns a little bit until 10, he goes, he sits with his wife another hour, an hour and a half, he goes to sleep, 11, even 12, still can get up 6, 7 in the morning. There's no reason to live a messed up life. Now, a person should make sure that his stomach will always be soft. Always be soft, not to have constipation. It's very bad for health. Therefore, he always have to eat grapes, strawberries, pears, watermelon, zucchinis, cucumbers, things that makes the stomach constantly soft. But there are things who makes the stomach hard, like bananas and pomegranates and all kinds of things that makes constipation. For people who suffer from soft stomach, too soft, then they need to balance it out. So the concept is to make the stomach always soft, that when a person goes to the bathroom, he doesn't have to push and to try too hard, because that brings hemorrhoids and all kinds of other problems, and it's affecting the digestion system, and all kinds of other problems comes to the life of a person because he doesn't eat properly. When a person has to eat meat and chicken, he has to start with the chicken. When he has to eat meat or chicken and fish, he starts with the fish. When he has fish and salad, he starts with the salad. The rule is, you start with the softer food, that it's easier to digest. That's why it's better to drink a little bit before, then you eat a little bit like the French. They first serve salads or fruits in the beginning of the meal. And you eat soft food, and then only 10 minutes later you go into the chicken, into the meat, because the stomach works constantly. It takes like a car. When you start the car, it takes time until the engine works perfect. It takes a few minutes for the engine to burn the gasoline in a perfect way. Same thing the stomach. Then in the time of the summer, a person should try to eat colder food. In the times of the winter, hotter food, soup and stuff like that. Not in the time of the summer, it's not recommended too many spices, like spicy paprika and all kinds of things like this. Curry powder, all these things. Why? Because the body's temperature to begin with is higher than normal. By eating this, it makes the temperature of the body even more hotter than what it should be. But in the winter time, since the body temperature is cold, it's always good to use those spices to make the body a little bit hotter. Then the Rambam says there are food that is always bad, no matter when, no matter who eats it, is always poison to the body. Such as the big fish that they used to put them in salty dry fish. The salt dried them completely and they become very hard, like stick. There was no refrigerator or freezer in the old days. So they wanted to keep, let's see, they cut the fish to pieces and they have leftover. Tomorrow it's going to be full of worms. So right away they put tons of salt on it. It's like instead of preservatives that we have today. Those kind of food are not healthy. The rule is, the fresher the food is healthier. When it becomes not so fresh, 1 day, 2 days, 5 days, the more you keep it, the more dangerous it is for your health. To drink too much water is also not good. Too much water, it's not good. Some people drink constantly, non-stop. It's not good. To drink a little bit, it's also not good. You have to drink enough, and usually the body tells us when we need water. When you feel thirsty, your mouth is dry, you feel that you're thirsty, the body tells you that you need liquid. And some other things, let's see. Okay, now, all kinds of salty cheese that are full of salt and things like this are also not healthy. Now there's a list, I don't have time to start naming all the list of the not healthy food. Some of them is old food that doesn't even exist today. But if you want, you can go into Ilchot Deot. The Rambam brings the recommended food, the not recommended food. And also you have to take to consideration that today the nature is changed. Some of the things he mentioned here, for instance garlic, shumin, he is naming it as one of the not healthy food. But today we know it's antibiotic, it's very good. Could be that he's talking about different shumin. Remember, some of the words that we use in the modern Hebrew today are not necessarily the language that they used 1,000 years ago. And therefore, you have to follow the list, but be careful not to make any mistakes. How does a person take a shower? Never on a full stomach. Your stomach is exploding. You came from a wedding, Bukharian wedding, you ate 15 dishes. You cannot take a shower for a week now until the stomach digests all the food. You make sure not to go into showers when your stomach is exploding. And not to jump right away into burning water or to too cold water. Slowly, slowly, to get the body used to it in a process, not right away. And also when a person needs to have relation with his wife, not on a full stomach is also not good. And not when he needs a bathroom. When the person needs a bathroom, he has to go to sit in a bathroom. He has to clean his body before he does it. A person should not donate too much blood one day after the other. Once in a while is good. If you want, it's good for the circulation. But too much, too often is also dangerous. Let's conclude with what I started before. The Rambam said the seed, the sperm of the person is the energy of his body. It's the light of the eyes. The more a person wastes more than that, he loses energy. He's losing his strength. His life are slowly, slowly destroyed. That's what King Solomon wrote. Don't give the ladies your strength. That means not your strength, your arms, that you're wasting your energy by lifting things and this. That's not what he meant. He meant this is what Hashem gave to a man, and if the man knows to overcome his desires, then his life will be longer and healthier. Later, when you get 50, 60, 70, much less sicknesses. No kidney problems, no stomach, no ulcer, no back problems, and all kinds of other problems that people have in their joints and this. This is all comes only for this. Now he brings a list of sicknesses. Listen to this. Here, it says, first he become older much faster. He loses eyesight. That's why many people today needs glasses. And bad mouth come out of his mouth and his gums. And from his underarm, he loses hair. And his eyelashes. And even hair from his beard, by touching it, falls right away. Doesn't have any strength, the roots of the hair. And his teeth becomes weak. they move. Sometimes a person touches his teeth, he sees that they are moving. They don't have, the gums cannot hold the teeth, the roots. Many pains and all kinds of sicknesses comes to him. The greatest doctor says 1 out of 1,000 died from normal sicknesses, and 999 dies because of wasting seeds too much. That's why a person should know that this is the secret of his life. If he wants to live good, healthy, strong life, he should be careful with the way he behaves with his lifestyle. Then I mentioned all the rest. Okay, also sometimes people think sauna is good, you go steam, and this not necessarily. Too much and too long is also dangerous. Someone who follow my instruction, the Rambam writes, now let's pay attention to this last comment. I guarantee to him, it's my responsibility, the Rambam writes, the Rambam, not the doctor across the street in the office here in Queens, no. The greatest Rambam, the greatest doctor. It says, Ani arev lo, I am his guarantor, that he will never have sicknesses all his life until he will be very old. Then obviously you have to prepare to go to the next world. And he won't need doctors. His body will be strong and complete all his life. Unless if he born with a birth defect. That's a different story. For those kind of people, I'm not guaranteeing anything. But if he born healthy and he's followed those instructions that he gave about the stomach, about the sperm, and about all the other things that I mentioned, will be safe all his life. And all these great recommendations, we should also know one more thing. If a person works physically, he's busy physically all day, even when he eats food that is not healthy, it cannot damage him. For instance, if a person walks on a treadmill, 20 minutes a day, or he walks to work, or in school, or he pick up stuff and walk and come back and go stairs up and down, or work out, even if he eats not healthy food, the body burns it right away. It doesn't give time for the food to damage the health. Most of us are not doing anything. Those who sit and learn all day, they're exposed to more danger. They don't do any physical activity. But today, Baruch Hashem, more and more people acknowledge the necessity of doing some, movement, to move. So I see people around the park, they walk in the morning, or some people walk from home to the yeshiva, even though they can drive 2 minutes, they rather walk 15 minutes to each direction twice a day in order for them to do some activity. Some people run, they jog in the lunch break, or all kinds of things like this, or in the after work. Very important to do activity. This is, by the way, a special way to be protected from all the sicknesses that are threatening our safety and our health. Now the Rambam, then I think we should leave it for another lecture. The next chapter is chapter 5, is speaking about the difference between a chacham to ordinary people. What ordinary people are allowed to do in their everyday life. There is a special restriction for someone who is a special representative of Hashem. What we call today the rabbis, the chief rabbis, the important chachamim. There's not everything that ordinary people can do that he can do with them. You understand? I just give one example. If regular people can sit in a restaurant for lunch and eat in front of other people, they see him sitting by the window, a very big chacham, you're never going to see him sitting at 2 o'clock in the afternoon eating lunch in front of 500 people that walk by. You don't see these things. Or to go to certain stores, or to behave in certain way, or even if you go on a bus, for instance, and the guy cheated you by a few quarters by mistake, he made a mistake, he gave you less change, There are things that a normal person is entitled to do, to tell the driver, hey, you gave me $1 less. But Chacham is not allowed to do it. Chacham should never take a risk of making Chilul Hashem. His Chilul Hashem count a lot worse than an ordinary person. So an ordinary person, nobody expects so much. But when somebody like this argue for $1, what's the people going to say? Look at this rabbi. He's fighting with the driver for 50 cents, for $2. They don't see who is right. An ordinary person, if he said to the driver, I'm sorry, sir, you gave me $1 less, nobody will hold it against him. Try to imagine the chief rabbi of Israel doing it. Tomorrow it's going to be all over the news. So you see that the effect on the public is completely different, whether this guy did it or somebody else did it. It's completely different. So now the Torah brings recommendation in a business, in negotiation, in between husband and wife. What?
He doesn't want him to steal, so he just doesn't want him to do a sin. So he wants to protect him from doing a sin. So he says, you gave me a little bit less.
No, so he can tell him once, and if the guy argues, say, okay, no problem, machul, no problem. Or you can just forgive him, and once you forgive him, he's not a thief. The rule is like this: if somebody came to steal from you, and you said, I'm forgiving him, even though he had bad intention, since you forgive that, you made it hefker, he really had bad intention, but he got saved. Therefore, I give you an example. If you are a boss, and you suspect that one of your employees steal money from you, and the question is, you want to set a trap for him. You want to call him for a meeting in your office. And you want to leave, $100 on the desk or in the drawer and leave the door a little bit open and go outside for 2 minutes, pretend you have to go to the bathroom or something, that when you come back you want to know if this $100 disappeared, then you know he's the thief. Here, you just proved yourself. We're not talking that you have cameras, that's a different story. So, the question is, what happens if the Jew will steal the money? You set him that trap, so you got your answer. So you want to fire him. You're entitled to protect your money. The problem is that it's called lifnei iver lo titen michshol. Setting a trap in front of a blind man. Why a blind man? Blind man is not literally blind man. It means blind in this category. For instance, a person that has weakness to food, see barbecue or ice cream or all kinds of things, right away like a tiger he jump. You don't bring it in front of him to embarrass him in front of people. Has a weakness. It's hard for him to overcome his desire. A person that is angry, you don't say in front of him something that is going to start cursing another person. You have to be sensitive to other people's weaknesses. A person that is innocent, he doesn't know anything about business, you don't take advantage on his being naive and fooling him to do a deal that you benefit or somebody else benefit just because he's naive. All these things called lifnei iver lo titen michshol. You bring non-kosher food to a hungry person and then he eats it, then you are participant in the sin. Why? Because you brought the trap in front of him. Or if your friend is not Shomer Shabbos and he wants to borrow a car, or he knows you're not using your car on Shabbat, you're thinking, what do I care? It's his sin. I'm not telling him to drive. He's going to rent a car somewhere else anyway. So you're not allowed to give him your car to use it to be Mechalel Shabbat. Or you give him money because he's poor, he takes your money and put gasoline in a car and drives on Shabbat. Or pay for a cab or whatever he does. All these things goes into a category called lifnei iver lo titen michshol. So what's the solution in a case like this? When you put the $100 in a drawer, you have to say, this $100 is hefker. I'm giving it up. It's not my money. It's hefker. Whoever wants to take it, it's his. Gift. You can do it. You can throw things to the street. You can put things next to your home. Hefker. People see it by the garbage. They see old records. You throw them out. You walk, this record's worth something. Maybe I'll try to sell them. You take and you make some business with that. He doesn't want it. You're allowed to take it. Somebody throw an old microwave. You have the talent to fix it. You can fix it. You took it. You cannot come and say, hey, why are you taking it? You put it in the garbage. I'm allowed to take it. There was one case, actually, interesting case. Somebody threw old records, classical music, and his neighbor knew about the value of the records. So he picked up all the records at night before they come in the morning, and then he went and sold it for antique collectors for a lot of money, tons of money. And somehow it got to the ears of the guy that put the records in the garbage. And they took him to court, to Beis Din, and said, it's not fair. He took the records without my permission. So the guy said, what do you mean permission? You put it in the garbage. I wouldn't take it. They grind it the next day. Or the garbage people will take it. Somebody will take it. What do you think was the verdict? Based on what I said before, what should be the verdict? Usually is allowed to take. But here is a little bit unique. Ignorance of a person, if a person makes something hefker, if this person said, this is garbage for me, here, take it. He thought it's a piece of glass, cubic zirconia. He thought it's $10. And then it turns that it was a diamond. He can sue him back to return it. That's called mekach ta'ut, an innocent mistake, an innocent giveaway. I didn't know. Or if you thought that your computer doesn't work, and the guy said, I'm fixing computers, so instead of throwing it, just give it to me, I'll fix it. And you gave it to him, and in the end it was brand new. He just didn't know there was one button to press or something. All these things called hefker beta'ut. It's a mistake. So he sued him for the records, and he had to give him back the money of the records. Yeah?
What about in real estate? People come knocking the door, they give him properties that give you $200,000 cash. The Kushi people get excited, money, they see it, they say $200,000, the house is worth $500. You buy it, you fix it up, you sell it.
Well, over here, it's a famous thing, and they can find out by making one phone call how much the house really worth. If they're not doing it, it's their problem. It's not your job to educate the Kushi how much his house really worth.
But then he's educated, then he finds out, he takes it to the court.
And what do they decide in court? I'm curious here.
It happens. There was something.
If you offer him money and he accepted the deal, and it was a bargain, what does the court reverse the transaction?
No, they say it was like you should have to give him evaluation, market analysis.
No, I want to tell you something, and let's really finish with this because time ran out. If a person he doesn't know, he doesn't have the knowledge. If there's no way to find out. No way to find out, because you're the only one that evaluates it, like diamonds. You go to this agency in Manhattan, they check the diamonds professionally and give an estimate. And the guy over there fool you, takes advantage on you, that's a different story. But if it's published knowledge, you can find out through the internet, you can ask people on the street, everybody knows, and he did not go and check, and he decided to sell it for much cheaper than what it's worth, that's his problem. Also when you sell a car, if you tell the guy, check the car, I'm not responsible, I'm not a mechanic, check the car. Tell me if you like it, it's yours. Once you decide to buy it, I'm not giving you any warranty, it's not a brand new car. And he said, no, I trust you, it's okay, I don't need to check it. He drives right now, I believe it's fine, and he buys it and the engine dies a week later, it's his problem. You understand?
Because you gave him all the privilege.
Because you told him go check the car. But if you didn't tell him go check the car, and you told him you want it, you have to bring the money by 2 o'clock, the car is yours. You didn't give, and he asked you how is the car, and you told him in perfect condition, you will have to return him the money. It's called mekach ta'ut, because he was counting on your words. It's in perfect condition. Never say to people about used product is in perfect condition. Perfect, even brand new, it's not in perfect condition. Especially if it's made in America. You have to make sure not to use those words, because that's called misleading. And in the Shamayim, we don't care really so much what the judge going to decide here in court in Manhattan. We care what Hashem thinks about you. We told him it's perfect condition, and it wasn't perfect condition, only 80%, right? It's called mekach ta'ut. Oh, now he wants his money back, you don't want to return it, you're a thief. Got to be careful. There's a lot to learn. Let's leave some for next time. Thank you very much and good night.